us some examples of how the third and fourth principles apply to the business?
Yeah, okay. ICA is the biggest, I mean, right, plain down, the first example was local authority. This is ICA, this is the largest supermarket chain in Sweden. They run into the funnel just recently, hit the wall, boom, and this is much more expensive in comparison with investing yourself into the adaptation of the funnel. But they hit the wall, boom. How did it appear? Hard freons were stuffed into their refrigerators, and customers started to ask questions about it. And there was a meeting in Copenhagen, as you recall, a couple of years ago, where we wondered if it was too late to phase it out. And DuPont has decided to have a deadline for production, and they felt, the funnel coming for this particular compound. So they phoned up Electrolux and said, we would like to buy some other kind of stuff to put in our refrigerators. And Electrolux said, we're sorry, but your device is married to hard freons. How much will it cost then? Well, how many refrigerators do you have in your shops? And they got the number, and they calculated. Well, it's 1 billion Swedish crowns. It's completely merciless when you hit the wall, There is no security council there to take the bump for you if you plan against the laws of nature, because they are on top of all man-made rules, and they hit you one way or another, legislation, whatever. But this is how it looked to them. So they said to Electrolux, what is it you suggest that we buy then? Well, this device is based on soft freons, they said happily. And the chairman of ICA said, does that violate system condition number 2? And Electrolux said, system what? Because they hadn't got that education by that time, but they soon got it. I'll tell you the story. ICA said, we would not like to make that affair on this point. We must have a seminar together with Natural Step when we make the affair. So they did. And I did this. But when you have reached this point, never ever tell the specialists amongst their leaves how to handle the problem. Just give them the compass. So I said, the word is free. And the chairman stood on his feet and said to Electrolux, could you now please answer the question if soft freons, which you want us to buy, violate system condition number 2 or not? Well, that's not the point, he said after a while. He looked a little bit, that's not the point. The point is that there is less chlorine on the molecule, and it is chlorine which hurts the ozone layer. And it follows the following logistics. Please, this is not what I wanted to know. I just want to know if it violates system condition number 2 or not. Is it a persistent unnatural compound that will build up, or isn't it? Well, it's unnatural, and it's good quality on the molecule. So it will build up in concentrations. And then he said, yeah, but you have to have tight technical systems. And he said, like with hard freons, they're not stupid. They start to talk like that. You mean like with the hard freons? Yeah, well, there will be a build-up. My next question, how long can it accumulate before it hit its wall? Because I don't want to make the same mistake once again. And there was silence. And why was it silent? Because when anything accumulates, it is impossible to foresee its threshold due to complexity and time delay mechanism. So it was silence. Then he got mad. He displayed his anger in an open session. And so do you want to tell me that you want me to buy for 1 billion crowns something which I only know one thing of? It is doomed. And you can't tell me the time span, the lifespan, the life expectancy of this investment. And he was silent. I said, thank you, now we know at least what we shall not do. And then they sent out people, Greenpeace in the same time shoved off refrigerators outside the main office of Electrolux. So they were very shaken at this point. They lost this 1 billion crown affair, and Greenpeace were there and made them even more worried, So now they phoned us up because we didn't say anything about the affair. We keep our hands clean from that. Just give them an instrument to think. They phoned us up and said, could you please come to our head office and explain all those system conditions and molecular garbage and all that junk. Also to our think tank, the board, the president, everyone. So they collected the whole damn staff there. And we were invited, and we did the same thing. And stopped here. Don't tell them how to make the refrigerators. They are world's leaders, at least in the minds of Swedes. They beat the General Electric there and all the others. Anyhow, the head of technical development stood on his feet and said, now I'm going to teach you something that you don't know about refrigerators. And he wanted to pull me up amongst the leaves, and he did. He said, we use soft freons to blow the isolation device of the refrigerators. This particular technique makes our refrigerators better isolated than any component on the market. Since they are better isolated, they take less energy to keep cool. And energy is today, on a global scenario, produced by violation of system condition number 1, that you call it, he said, through a better efficiency. It goes down indirect and causes beneficial effects on system error number 1, which in turn causes a lot of relief on the greenhouse gas problem. Oh, I said, that's good. So you mean by violating system condition number 2, you benefit on system condition number 1. Yeah, but there is a trick, he says. And this is extremely important what comes now, because there are always, not almost always, always contradictions amongst the leaves if you don't see the whole. This is what he said. When we produce a refrigerator, the impact is relatively small because we only produce it once. After that day, it consumes energy day out, day in, weeks, years. So by violation of system condition number 2 a little, we benefit a lot on system condition number 1. And I said, that you can prove on a life cycle analysis, and I'm so happy to hear it, and you are in control then. Very nice, congratulations. And then what? And then what? Because you see the time axis here. And he said, what do you mean then what? Yeah, well, when Electrolux has moved into his new house, you don't violate system condition number 2 either. What is it in today's planning that makes it easier to phase out soft freons tomorrow? And that was silence again. And then he said, do you think it's easy to make refrigerators? He said, and I apologize for this impression of my talk, and I only said that this is the funnel, and it is not invented by me or Greenpeace or anybody. The laws of nature is the generous fundament for our existence and our economy. This is how it is. And you will be phased out if you don't follow. I don't know what to do. I'm sorry, I'm just a medical doctor. Two weeks later on, they had filled in a complete chart, including all other things as well, including recycling of the minerals for production of the refrigerators. They move from R134A, which doesn't have any chlorine on it at all, which solves the acute problem amongst the leaves, he says on the phone to me. But it still violates system condition number 2. But it functions as one of those crosses because it fits the same technology as propan-butan, which is a solution of tomorrow's Electrolux. Now you probably want to know, he said to me, why we don't move to propan-butan immediately. But the reason is that it is explosive. And if we apply the wrong technology and it explodes in the face of the customer, we haven't speeded up this process, as you might well understand. And I told them, if you put that in advertisements, tell the Swedish public that you are going through R134A to propan-butan solutions, you will get our prize. And they immediately put it all over. And we handed the prize over in Swedish television. So they wrote a contract with the Swedish public. This is what we're going to do. And it didn't take them 1 year to move from R134A to propan-butan. And immediately phased out the hard freons because they had a plan. They saw the future. And they could move down from the leaves and enter the trunk and the branches. But I have a whole book of those examples and those dialogues and whatever.